Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Hardcore Challenge Live, the official webcast of the Hardcore Challenge, the pinnacle of fantasy football competition. So we had another exciting week in Week 4 in the Hardcore Challenge, as the game of the week proved to be a true game of the week. You had Skull Crushers, ran by Gary, putting up a 238-point game. Pack Attack is back, coming in undefeated at 3-0. Put up a respectable 151, but when Skull Crushers puts up the second highest score ever in the history of the league, there's not a whole hell of a lot you can do about that. So Gary posted a 238, which is the second highest since Bison Broncos, the owner Kent, in 2013 put up 253. So it's the second highest score ever in the league. A amazing game, and Gary just didn't even make it a game. Russell Wilson with 33, Ezekiel Elliott with 29. Cook had Cook, who went down, so he's gonna lose Cook, Dalvin Cook, for Minnesota, who got him 12, and Parker, wide receiver from Miami, got him 12, but then he got 27 with Williams, wide receiver from the Chargers. Another big 21 at running back with Duke Johnson at Cleveland at the flex, and then 23 at kicker. 23 at kicker, an 8, a 14, a 19, a 15 across the board on his individual defensive players. He just hit across the board. As a whole, it was a pretty impressive game. Like I said, second highest score in league history. So, I mean, what more do you need to say? Second highest score in league history. Now, as far as the rest of the league, when you're looking at the AFC, you have Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood sitting at number 1 in the power rankings and number 1 in the scoring league-wide. So the defending champ has come out and staked claim to defend the Hardcore Cup. Now, when looking at the NFC, number 1 in the power rankings is Joey's Tank Tops. New owner, Jason, I believe. Jason, who took over for our exiled owner who wanted to bring his political stand into the league and bowed out ungraciously. So he took over a 3-0 team, and he made a bunch of moves and managed to pull out another win. His team is actually very low on the scoring league-wide, so it's not like they're a juggernaut by any means. Definitely a beatable team, but sitting at 4-0 right now, and one of only 2 undefeated teams. There's one in each conference currently, and they're both sitting at 4-0. Joey's Tank Tops in the NFC, and Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood in the AFC, defending champ. Now, as far as scoring goes, Gary with Skull Crushers at 3-1 is the second highest scoring team in the entire league, and is, after the big game that they just had, it obviously helped vault them into that category. Now, when you're looking at the other part of the spectrum, as far as where teams are placed, you've got to look at both of the Cowboy fans in the AFC, both sitting at 0-4. Big Dog with only 485 points scored. You are undefeated, correct? Can't forget about Stinky Pinky is undefeated. I forgot you're hanging with that tie back there. Technically undefeated, yes, correct. Holding a tie. So, which, that happened on a stat correction, which was crazy. That kind of almost snuck in under the radar. You have Mob Adjacent at 1-3. Who actually has a lower score, points scored, even though they've won a game. But the last place team sitting in the bottom of the league in both conferences is kind of a shocking team, which Travis with the Renegade Misfits, who was a playoff team last season in the Dirty South and has been decimated with injuries and has only put up 444 points and is sitting at 0-4, last place in the NFC Wild West. So that seems to be one of the probably the most shocking. Zeke and Destroy to be sitting in such a bad position, having the number 1 overall pick, is somewhat shocking as well. They've only put up 495. They have not broke the 500-point barrier. So a lot of teams sitting at 2-2. I'm one of them. If you look at the Elite East in the AFC, you've got the entire division at 2-2 minus Big Dog, who's sitting at 0-4. So even though they're 0-4, they're only 2 games out of first place in that division because the rest of the team, or the rest of the division's 2-2. So if they can pick it up and then sweep the last round through their 3 divisional games, they could still end up in the playoffs. So even though they're sucking, they're not in as bad a shape as Zeke and Destroy, who's actually chasing Beaver Street Roar, who's sitting at 3-1 in sole possession of first place currently. In the Wild West of the AFC, with the undefeated Stinky Pinky at 3-0-1, arch rival Tama Tears has rattled off 3 straight victories and is sitting 3-1 right behind them. I still say it's going to come down to these two in the final 3 games of the season when the final run through your divisions happens. And I look forward to that game when those two meet up again. Overall, the scores seem to be up, minus All-Pro Afro, who did not even break, after the big game last week, didn't even break 3 digits this week, which was shocking. They were the only team in the league that did not break 100. So really, really big fall down for All-Pro Afro as they're still sitting though only 1 game out of first at 2-2 in the Dirty South. So it's doesn't seem to be any division that has a crazy runaway thus far. Not thus far. We may start to see some serious separation next week if some teams don't pick up and win, and some other teams continue to stretch it. Joey's Tank Tops sitting at 4-0. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood sitting at 4-0. Stinky Pinky 3-0-1. Those are your undefeated teams left. 2 in the AFC, 1 in the NFC. 2 old owners, 2 former champions, 1 new owner. 1 new owner who got the baton from another new owner who wanted to be an asshat. So it's very different circumstances for how these teams came to be where they're at. Very interesting. So we got some good matchups. Still mulling over who is going to be Game of the Week for Week 5. There's several of them. You got these out-of-conference games, so things are starting to get shook up a little bit. So it's going to be interesting. So that's how you do it now. Let's see. Facebook, they keep changing things. So now the whole live feature looks different because they keep updating. You just can't leave well enough alone. Big matchups coming this week. We will have that tomorrow. We will break it down and unveil the Week 5 Game of the Week on tomorrow's Hardcore Challenge Live Game of the Week edition. Skull Crushers took it this week. They were the big score league-wide, second highest score ever. Congratulations to Gary. Skull Crushers. Again, I back Corey in Game of the Week. And he blows up my perfect streak for the season. I was 3-0 on Game of the Week picks. I'll pick Corey. And again, he failed me. He did this last season. Every time I pick Corey for Game of the Week, he fails me. Fails me again. So I should have went with Skull Crushers. Now I'm 3-1 on my picks. So we'll see if I can do a little better tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow. Game of the Week. I will put up a little teaser picture on the stories tomorrow. See if you guys can figure out who it is. And then we will unveil it tomorrow night and break it down. Our pick for this week's Game of the Week. Congratulations to Gary and Skull Crushers for the big win in Game of the Week this week. 238 points. That's just ridiculous. A lot of teams felt injuries. I was one of them. My team posted 150 and still lost because our quarterback went down. It was a rough week for injuries, so I know a lot of us felt it. Trains are starting to fly around. I've had one or two myself. Keep pumping them through. Trade deadline's November 11th, so make your move now. You ready for the challenge? Good luck. Game on.